Easy melody.
Beware of the Greeks bearing gifts. I am sure some of you must have heard this adage somewhere. So I'll be telling you guys a very quick story about how this adage came about. This story time is about when men used to go to war for women. Yes. So the Greeks and the Trojans were at war for over 10 years. The Greeks and the Trojans were at war for over 10 years because of one particular body. Yes, one particular body whose name was Helen. Men were deleted from the face of the earth because of this body. Helen belonged to the Greek kingdom, and then one day the prince of Troy saw this beautiful looking body. Her hair was on fleek, her skin was giving, her body was banging, everything about her was just giving. And then he was like, you know what, this body is befitting for a prince charming like me, and I'm going to have her. And then he finessed his way into getting this body without the permission of our people. And then the Greeks were like, who is this small boy that came to carry our body without our permission? They went to the Trojans and were like, give us our body. Your prince took our body without our permission and we want her back. And then Prince Paris was like, make me. I am a prince. I can have anybody I want to have from anywhere I want. And the Greeks were like, give us our body or it's going to be war. What started off as a mere threat became a decade-long war. I mean, men lost their lives because of one particular body. Now, the Greeks and the Trojans fought this battle for over 10 years and nobody was winning. They were all getting tired at some point, but it was a war, it was a battle. So it means there has to be one kingdom surrendering to another or one kingdom getting conquered by another. And the Greeks were like, nope, it's not going to be us because you guys came to our kingdom to come and steal what does not belong to you. So we are not going to give up. Even though we are tired, we won't give up this battle. We must win this battle. The Greeks were like, you know what? We are losing men, we are losing resources, and we are not winning this battle. And then one of the strongest Greek soldiers at that time, whose name was Odysseus sat down and thought to himself, and he was like, what if we stopped fighting and start finessing? He came up with this smart idea. I was like, what if we fake surrendering to the Trojans and finesse our way into winning this battle? And so he came up with this smart idea of building this gigantic, aesthetically pleasing horse statue and presenting it to the Trojans as a peace offering, and then in the process they were going to finesse their way into winning the battle. You see, Odysseus was not just about biceps, triceps. There was more to Odysseus. Odysseus was smart. Odysseus gathered a few of his men and then they built a very gigantic, aesthetically pleasing horse statue, and inside the horse statue was so large that it could house Odysseus and some of his men. The Trojans woke up one morning and saw that the Greek soldiers who had mounted their territory had decamped, and to their greatest shock, they opened up their city gates and saw this gigantic, aesthetically pleasing horse statue that the Greeks had presented to them as a peace offering. And there was jubilation everywhere in the city of Troy. They were like, oh, finally, these people have surrendered. But there was this particular man who was like their priest in the city of Troy. He kept warning the Trojans about the peace offering and kept cautioning them. Are you sure this is a peace offering? Are you sure this is true? We are talking about the Greeks here. The Greeks are surrendering to us. And this man kept warning them. He was like, beware of the Greeks bearing gifts. The people of Troy ignored him. The Trojans practically ignored their priest, called him a madman, and went ahead, opened up their city gate, and pulled in the gigantic horse statue that had Odysseus and some of his men in it. And there was a whole lot of celebration that day. The Trojans practically lost guard. There was celebration everywhere in the streets of the city of Troy. There was jubilation. And then at night, when everywhere was quiet, people had gone to bed, everywhere was quiet, Odysseus and his men then crept out of the Trojan Horse statue, opened up the city gate of Troy, and let in the Greek soldiers that the Trojans thought had surrendered. Within the twinkle of an eye, the city of Troy was destroyed. And that was how the Greeks won that battle. Now, what is the moral of this story? First on my list, sometimes when you're faced with the most difficult challenge, with the most difficult battle of your life, and you have used all your strength, your resources, your energy in fighting the particular battle, sometimes all you need is to take a step back and do some critical thinking. And that was what Odysseus did that led them into winning that battle. Sometimes all we need when we are faced with the most difficult battles of our life is some critical thinking. Yes. Second on my list, do not lose guard even in the face of victory. Even when it seems like victory is finally on your side, still mount your guard, because sometimes what looks like victory is actually chaos in a pretty package. Yes. Last but not the least, and one of the most important lessons I've learned, always listen to that inner voice. Always listen to that one friend that always tells you to double check. Always listen to that friend that picks the red flag before you do, because that could be your priest. Now, this brings me to the end of this story time. I hope you were able to learn one or two things from this story time. Please, if you have enjoyed this story time and have watched to this extent, please drop a like and leave a beautiful comment for me. I'll be seeing you guys in my next one. Bye. Mwah.